So, when doing this video, I had a decision to make. Either do one where Harry Potter is patient zero and conducts bioterrorism, or a Kaiserreich-inspired Syndicalist Harry Potter. Yeah, let's go ahead and go with the one I know I'm going to have the most fun with. So for those of you who don't know, Kaiserreich is a interesting Hearts of Iron 4 mod that has actually grown to the point where it has its own audio drama, motion comics, and a lot of other stuff, including massive fan fiction to a massive degree, which even then, would it be considered fan fiction, or would it be considered its own fiction, considering that, much like Fallout Equestria, it's its own fucking entity in its own goddamn right. So, yeah. Let's go ahead and talk about this. So, basically the whole idea here is that what would happen if Harry Potter was a syndicalist? And we're going down the revolutionary tree of research because I'm not the one to basically try and follow canon because, let's be honest here, everyone and their mother has done the same fucking thing of he gets his letter, he goes to Hogwarts, all the other stuff happens, but nothing really changes. The only things that do change, of course, are those that deal with actual things that actually do make things change, and actually do happen, and actually, etc., etc., etc. So, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. How does Harry Potter happen to become socialist? Number one. Well, number one, the small child, of course, is dropped off, ironically enough, at an orphanage. But that orphanage is, of course, not the way it seems. In reality, that orphanage is a nice little place that a certain entity of Russia likes to visit from time to time. Of course, that's a whole other story for another day. But the big thing is that when this entity, certain entity, visits the orphanage and takes Harry Potter back, Harry Potter and of course many other children, to Russia to try and enjoy them, well, she becomes attacked. And the Russian wizards, who were of course from the old guard of socialism, attempted to kill Baba Yaga and save the children. Well, they were able to save the children, but not kill Baba Yaga. In reality, ladies and gentlemen, Harry Potter is then, of course, taken into the deepest depths of Siberia. The place of many, many gulags, but the place of many, many proud former Soviet socialists. So, essentially, Harry Potter is raised by a family who, of course, renames him to, of course, one of the proper Soviet name. In this case, Vasily Petrovich. Named, of course, after the great sniper of the motherland. Or at least, in this case, the first name at least is Vasily. Now here's the thing. They are so deep in the Siberian wilderness and so deep behind into Russia that the letters of Hogwarts can't exactly fucking find them. So, essentially, Harry Potter never goes to Hogwarts in the first 4 years. However, that does not mean he doesn't go to Magical Britain. As he's growing up, he is being taught, of course, the wonders of socialism, or in this case, the wonders of syndicalism. The fact that the worker is who props up the nation, not the bourgeoisie, not the lies of the West. And he grows up on this ideology. It isn't until he's 11 years old that he is inducted into a political movement. A movement whose goal is to infiltrate the West magical communities and try and bring the fires of the socialist revolution and the glory of syndicalism. France, of course, is a much more calm version of the revolution, since technically speaking their leadership is socialist, but not the kind of socialism they like. So they try to push for harder socialist stances and try to kind of change magical France. Their idea is that if they can control the magical side of the world, they can slowly infiltrate the mundane and, of course, change the political stances and, further down the line, cause revolutions. An idea that got started by Lenin because he himself was magical. And, again, Lenin is the hero of socialism. So, Harry Potter, of course, is brought into this, and him and along a team of wizards go, or at least in this case, a team of comrades go to magical Britain to try and bring the fires of the revolution and the workers' party to these downtrodden proletariats who are being oppressed by the bourgeoisie that is the Ministry of Magic. I am going to have a lot of fun with the Russian accent in this video, I'm not going to lie. So basically, Harry Potter, of course, is used because they do figure out who he is. However, because of Baba Yaga and all this other stuff, for some convolutionness, the Horcrux is not in him anymore. Again, basically, this is a story where he's not a Horcrux. But Harry Potter does change. He changes because of his environment. He's more stocky. He's more burly. He is very much so Slavic, in a sense, because Slavic magic dictates it so. However, he still has some retaining features. And as such, as the years go on, the first creation of unions are started. They begin to basically insert many socialist ideologies into magical Britain. First, starting with unions that begin to strike. They begin to basically demand better wages, better pay, better hours, which of course the Ministry of Magic attempts to try and crack down on. This only fuels them. It doesn't get any better when, of course, the comrades of, little comrade Vasily find out exactly who he is, what his former name was. And when it's discovered where he comes from, the amount of power and money he has, Vasily declares that he will use this power and money that he has discovered to help provide for the revolution, to help provide for the proletariat, to take down the bourgeoisie. It isn't until Harry Potter is 13 years old and the protests have been going, because that's what's been going on. The protests have been growing. Protest in front of the Ministry of Magic. The biggest one, though, the one that makes everyone realize that this movement has legitimacy now, is when Harry Potter, or in this case, using his proud Soviet name, Vasily, his syndicalist name, Vasily, speaks out against the Ministry of Magic. He speaks out, of course, wearing a uniform of the worker against the bourgeoisie, stating that that night that Voldemort, the Dark Lord, came to kill my parents was a day of them being silenced, for his parents were syndicalists and could not proudly declare their syndicalist views out of fear of being oppressed, just like our proud comrades and workers are being oppressed as it is. This causes the whole story that's been brought around about the Dark Lord to change. Many lower level Death Eaters look at Harry and then they start thinking that this makes a lot more sense. Because if you completely ignore the fact that everything he's saying is a blatant fucking lie, and you get basically brought in on the Kool-Aid of syndicalism, then everything he says makes sense. Voldemort was never a Dark Lord. He was just a tool of the bourgeoisie, being used to silence those that were going against the pure blood, even if they were pure blood. No, they were going against the rich. They were being cracked down on because the rich and those in power, and those who have money, those who have food to fill their stomachs and waste whenever they want, wanted to silence the proletariat masses, the workers. Of course, Dumbledore, seeing this, tries to apprehend Harry Potter. Even the Aurors attempt to apprehend Harry Potter, trying to arrest him as a instigator. Well, this does not go well, because the fact that the hero of magical Britain basically spat in the face of what they were talking about, actually painting a different story to the actual blood wars, well, that will cause certain things to flare up. The Aurors are basically blocked. Dumbledore is blocked. everyone in the Order of Phoenix is blocked from attempting to reach Harry Potter as he's being taken away by his protection detail and his comrades, until one person messes up, firing instead of a stunner, a bombarda, accidentally killing more than a few of the demonstrators. There is a stunned silence until there is no stunned silence anymore. A powerful and rousing "Oorah!" breaks through the crowd as now counter spells, deadly spells mind you, are being fired at the Aurors. The Order of Phoenix is now caught up in essentially a firefight. Fire spells are being thrown, along with actual Molotov cocktails. Essentially, because of one idiot setting off a bombarda, the streets of Diagon Alley turn into a war zone. It isn't until after things finally calm down that the Ministry of Magic now is on damage control, as they now look like the bad guy. Fudge, of course, wants to do a kiss on sight for Harry Potter. However, that is immediately shot down by Amelia Bones, who basically tells him that if they kill Harry Potter, they are no better themselves and prove what's been spouted by the Syndicalist. Now, Amelia Bones is no idiot. She knows what Syndicalism is, she knows what socialism is, and she knows exactly how these people operate. If you give them martyrs, they will use those martyrs to help fuel their revolution. And what they've done now is created martyrs in the form of dead protesters and demonstrators. And if they kill Harry Potter, or heaven forbid anything happens to the boy, they will have created the biggest martyr of all and create a fire that they could not put out. Of course, it isn't until Harry Potter makes a statement stating that the attempted attack on his life was the bourgeoisie and the Ministry of Magic attempting to silence him and his parents' legacy, and the fires of syndicalism and the fires of socialism. This, of course, has to be calmed down. Someone with a cool head has to step in and try to negotiate between the two parties. Many low-level Death Eaters, including, of course, Fenris Greyback, or at least many of his people, start liking the sound of socialism. And Fenris Greyback, who basically talks about how they're the master race, realizes that he's an enemy of socialism, a fascist, much like the funny mustache man from the 1940s. And so, they kill him, and immediately put the werewolf support towards the Socialist Party, or at least in this case, towards the syndicalist movement of Harry Potter. In the dead of night, thanks to, of course, some greasing of palms from certain arms dealers, crates of weapons, AK-47s, Mosin Nagants, Makarovs, Tokarevs, many weapons of the revolution are shipped and smuggled into England, into magical Britain. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the arming of them. Harry Potter himself, of course, is being taught how to use these weapons, in case he ever has to. It isn't until, of course, Dumbledore himself attempts to be the peacemaker, and calls for, of course, a time of talks, actually inviting Harry and, of course, the Syndicalist Party to the Ministry of Magic to speak and try and air out their grievances in Winscott, in the, of course, Wizarding, ministry. However, for Dumbledore, it's a trap that he set to try and get Harry Potter under his control, try and get him to play his tune in music. It isn't until the 4th year of 1994 that they do actually accept this invitation. However, in that time, many people have been seen and spotted wearing armbands of the Syndicalist movement. The cog, the pickaxe, and, of course, the sickle. This is just the start. For it isn't until Harry does show up, wearing his uniform, proud as can be, along with a hidden Makarov on his person, along with his protection detail, that he comes to speak as the leading figure of the British Syndicalist movement. The talks essentially are their demands, or at least in this case, what they want. Better conditions for the workers, better hours for the workers, and better pay for the workers, and them actually having a voice in the political body. This, of course, is met with scoffs and condemnation, but Harry Vasily is not fazed by this. Instead, he looks directly in the eyes of everyone present and says, "Do you believe I came here without plan? Do you believe that you are still in control? For as of this moment, you are not. For right now, my comrades are in position, moving to do what needs to be done." "And what is that?" the Minister Fudge asked to Vasily. "Light the fires of the revolution." And just like that, he pulls out his pistol and shoots Fudge in the head, before moving on to shooting Umbridge. The doors bust open as his comrades, wielding AK-47s and other Russian weapons, begin to storm the room and start opening fire, killing any and all present. Many, of course, those who were Death Eaters, high-level Death Eaters, start throwing avocadabras left and right, trying to get them, only for themselves to be gunned down. Lucius Malfoy successfully escapes, sadly, with more than a few bullets in his gut. Dumbledore escapes, of course, but the rest, not so much. Augustus Longbottom was smart to actually hide under cover. It isn't until she is caught, of course, that she reveals that she herself is a member of the Syndicalist Party. She, of course, has been a supporter. After all, Harry is her godchild, or at least she is the backup godchild, godparent, essentially. So, of course, she would support her godson. Her only request to Harry, in a secret meeting that happened before this attack, was that Neville Longbottom be spared. Harry, of course, acquiesces because he is his godbrother, and he is also a comrade of the people, for he actually gets his hands dirty and works as a worker. The Ministry of Magic falls to Syndicalism, to the Syndicalist. News is brought to Voldemort, who is, of course, still in his homunculus body. He is enraged at what happened and what is going on, for he remembers the socialist movements of Britain as well as the fascist movements of Britain when he was growing up, especially the early years of the Cold War and Stalin. He remembers it all, and he is upset. As such, when he does get a body, not of Harry's blood, but of another, the body isn't the snake body that we know from the movies. It is of a healthy body. However, he knows that the war that is coming is not one of blood purity. It is one of politics and political ideologies. As such, he creates a movement of the monarchist, those who support the monarchy, those who believe in the actual magical Britain, of Avalon, of King Arthur. Of course, it would happen that he would be a loyalist to the crown. For why go against the Muggles when you can use them to push your own political ideologies? Dumbledore does make it back to Hogwarts and gives the very much so bad news that Harry has gone dark. Of course, that does not fly with certain people, as many start to claim that Harry is not dark, he is a socialist, he is a syndicalist, and that magical Britain should have changed so that way the revolution should have never happened. Many a Muggleborn even supports this, claiming that Dumbledore has lost his mind, he's too old, he doesn't understand political ideologies, because to Dumbledore's viewpoint, you're either a dark wizard or a light wizard, or in his case, a chess master. Of course, this would push many to leave Hogwarts and head towards either Voldemort, which of course is the monarchist movement of Wales, or towards Harry Potter, or in this case, Vasily, and his syndicalist movement of magical Britain. Scotland, sadly, is the last vestige place of what was former magical Britain. A war is coming. Both sides, all three sides, are building up their armies, are building up their arms, and the clash will inevitably happen. Whether syndicalism shall win, whether the monarchists shall win, or whether the traditionalists shall win, is completely in the air. But, ladies and gentlemen, that's up to you to decide in the comments section. And yes, technically speaking, this is a Kaiserreich-inspired idea. And I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments section about this. Who do you think would win in the end? Would it be the monarchist, the traditionalist, well, the monarchist led by Tom Riddle, or in this case, Tom Gaunt, or would it be the traditionalist led by Dumbledore? Or will it be the Syndicalist Party led by Vasily Petrovich, aka Harry Potter? Let me know in the comment section down below. And if you want to help out support the channel, consider, of course, checking out all the links down below. And if you guys want me to do the bioterrorism Harry Potter pitch meeting idea, let me know in the comment section down below. As always, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Airsoft Al, and I shall see you in the next video. Till next time, Ora!